In this section, we are going to talk about checking in voters. This includes the work done by our roster registration judges at the poll pads. Sometimes we refer to roster registration judges as poll pad judges as well. In this section, overall, we're going to talk about the check-in process, including looking at some examples on the poll pad of checking in voters. We're going to talk about some special scenarios at check-in, including how to handle roster corrections, roster notations, and challenges, and working with voters who need to register at check-in, again, looking at some poll pad examples. First, let's talk a little bit about poll pad station setup. All of the poll pads delivered to your voting location will be programmed for all precincts in that polling place. Space out your poll pads at least 6 feet apart to maintain physical distancing for our judges and voters. Plexiglass screens will also be provided for each poll pad station to protect election workers and voters. All voters, whether registered or not, will check in at these same poll pads, again, for all precincts voting in that location. Here's an example of a layout where voters queue up in a single line to be served at the next available poll pad station. If you are in a location with combined precincts, there will be some special provisions for your polling place setup. Again, as we talked about, all of the poll pads will be programmed for each precinct and should be shared. However, there will be separate ballot stations and separate ballot tabulators for each precinct. The responsibility of the poll pad judge is to make sure to direct the voter to the correct ballot station based upon their precinct. We will be using color coding to help cue voters for which precinct is theirs at both the ballot station and the ballot tabulator. The poll pad judge should use a highlighter to color the ballot receipt the appropriate color based upon the voter's precinct. Poll pads handle every type of voter at check-in, including our registered voters, voters who might need to change their name or address by completing Election Day registration, and any new registrations on Election Day. We also handle all of our voter challenges through the poll pads. Remember, ID cannot be requested from registered voters. Pre-registered voters in the roster should verify their address to the election judge. The poll pad judge should not show the voter the roster screen to verify the information. Do not rotate your poll pad screen during these elections. If necessary, date of birth can also be used to verify and check in a voter if they have the same name and address as another voter. Voters who are already registered can be checked in by searching for the voter using the first 3 letters of their first name and the first 3 letters of their last name. If the voter offers their ID, you may use it to scan and pull the voter up that way, but you cannot request that ID. It's a good idea if the voter hands you their ID to make some sort of statement such as, "Thank you for providing this. This is not required in Minnesota, but if you'd like, I can use this to check you in." Once you get the voter pulled up, you need to confirm that you have the correct voter by their name and address. Once that's done and you complete the check-in process, you'll be printing the voter receipt containing the voter oath of eligibility and their ballot receipt. Have the voter sign that voter receipt and give it back to you. You'll then hand the voter their ballot receipt and direct them to the correct ballot station. Remember, if you're in a combined location, highlight the receipt the appropriate color for their precinct first. There are a number of reasons that voters might not be in the roster. These are just some of them. For instance, if a voter doesn't register at least 20 days in advance, or if they haven't voted in the last 4 years, they might be removed from the rolls. We also need to make sure that they are in the correct precinct, and clerical issues are always possible. Let's take a look at what some of these different steps look like on the poll pad in different scenarios.
To find out a voter's proper location, we can use the precinct finder on the poll pad. To do so, select Menu in the top left corner, followed by selecting Precinct Finder, the blue magnifying glass. We'll enter the voter's house number, followed by the street name. we can select the street name from the drop-down. Select Search. The voter's polling location is Great Lakes Aquarium in Duluth, and we can print directions if running connected. Press Get Started, and remember to start with manual entry. Search the first 3 letters of the last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the first name, and press Search. We found the voter. Select the voter and confirm his information. Press Accept. Confirm the voter's information. Press Submit to check the voter in and print the voter's receipts. Start using manual entry. Enter the first 3 letters of the voter's last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the voter's first name. The voter's name does not pull up. Notice the voter's name has an apostrophe. Oftentimes you need to search without using the apostrophe or with using the apostrophe. So we'll try O apostrophe in this case. Followed by the voter's first 3 letters of the first name and press Search. We found the voter. Confirm the voter's information. Press Accept. Confirm the voter's information again. Submit to check the voter in and print the voter's receipts. So first we'll select manual entry. Search the first few letters of the voter's last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the voter's first name. Press Search. The voter record is not found. Scott assures us he is registered, so we'll have to search in another way. Let's try searching using advanced options. Under advanced options, we can fill in the voter's date of birth, type in the month, day, and year of the voter's date of birth, select Search, and we find our voter. Select our voter, confirm their information, press Accept to continue. Confirm the voter's information, press Submit to check in the voter and print the voter receipts. Manual entry. Search for the first 3 letters of the voter's last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the voter's first name. If multiple voters are found, ask the voter their date of birth and select the proper voter. Confirm the voter's information and press Accept. Confirm the information, press Submit. The voter is checked in, the voter's receipts will print. Select manual entry. Search the first 3 letters of the voter's last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the voter's first name. Select Search. Select the voter file. Press Accept to continue. On the confirmation screen, we can select Curbside, indicating that Tommy Muser is a curbside voter. Press Submit. The voter is checked in. The voter's vote receipts will print.
Let's go through a few more forms that you're going to see on Election Day. The first of which is the roster, correction, and deceased voter form. This is to be used for any administrative errors, which would not require a voter to re-register. Remember, if someone has legally changed their name or moved addresses, even if it was just to a different apartment number within the same building, they're going to need to re-register on the poll pad. This form is specifically for incorrectly typed addresses, name misspellings, mistyped birthdays, or any of those clerical errors that you might see coming out of the county's office. We'll also talk through something else that you might see, which is roster notations, which could appear on the poll book roster. AB, which signifies that someone has already voted by absentee ballot. In this case, someone would not be able to vote again. There's a CID, a roster notation, which you might see on the poll book. In this instance, someone would have to show you an Election Day registration document. And there are various challenges which can come up, including postal return, voted out of precinct, unverifiable, or felony guardianship challenges. The challenge procedures is to have someone swear an oath or affirm, ask the appropriate questions to determine if they're eligible. For example, if someone's got a felony challenge, you might ask, "Are you on probation or parole for a felony conviction?" Then you'll establish that voter is able to vote. If they're eligible, the voter can go ahead and vote. You'll just want to make sure you make a note on the incident log.
Challenged label requires voters to establish voting eligibility by answering questions about the challenge. The only challenge that requires the voter to show identification is the CID challenge. All other challenges are cleared by the voter answering questions verbally. Click the voter record. Read and follow the instructions on the screen. It will prompt you on what to say to the voter. Step 1. Discreetly inform the voter of the challenge on the record. If it is a felony, citizenship, or guardianship challenge, inform your head judge that you will need assistance. If the voter would like to know why they have that challenge, read them the explanation on the screen. Ask the voter the question about answering truthfully. Ask the voter the eligibility question that appears on the screen. Click Clear Challenge if their answers indicate they are eligible to vote in that precinct. Once the challenge is cleared, continue with normal check-in process. Only use the Challenge Failed button if a voter's answers indicate they must update their registration or are not eligible to vote. There are different types of challenges that you may encounter. A full description of each challenge is listed in the Polling Place Reference Guide. For each challenge, remember to follow the on-screen instructions or ask your head judge for guidance.
Let's talk about voters who need to register before you can check them in on the poll pad. As a reminder, a voter needs to re-register if they have moved since they last registered, changed their name, or not voted in the last 4 years. Only eligible proofs of residence can be selected from the poll pad drop-down menu. Vouchers also complete the registration process using the poll pad. As a reminder, there are multiple ways that voters can provide proof of residence in order to get registered. Review the voter eligibility and registration module and section of your election judge guide for more information. Let's take a look at how to register voters on the poll pad in different scenarios.
First, we'll search the voter by selecting manual entry. We'll search with the first 3 letters of the last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the first name. And press search. No records found. For this voter, we are going to register using his driver's license. First, ask the voter, are you a U.S. citizen? Will you be 18 on election day? Next, we're going to enter his information by using his driver's license, so we'll select the Scan DL barcode. The camera comes up, and we scan the barcode, auto-populating all the fields. Press Next. Enter his house number. Start to enter the street number. Once it comes up in the drop-down menu, select the entire street name from the drop-down menu. This auto-precincts the street address. Press Next. Select the identification type from the drop-down window. The voter has a driver's license, so we can select the top option. The driver's license automatically populates because we scanned it. Select Next. Select our residency type. The ID with current address is off the Minnesota driver's license. Select Next. Previous voter information is optional. Last, confirm the voter's information. The voter's voter registration prints. The voter is now registered but not checked in. We must press accept to confirm to check the voter in. Confirm the voter's new information and press submit. The voter's receipts print and the voter is now checked in. First, select manual entry. Search for the first 3 letters of the last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the first name. Press search. No records found. Edith is not registered. Select register. Ask the voter, or U.S. citizen, will you be at least 18 on election day? Select next. Enter the voter information. The entire first name, followed by the entire last name, followed by the voter's date of birth. Using the wheel, scroll up or down to make your selection. Select next. Enter the voter address. Enter the entire house number, followed by starting the street name. Select the street name from the drop-down to complete the address. Select next. For identification type, the voter does not have an ID. Select does not have an ID. Select next. The voter will be vouched for. So for residency type, we'll select other. Type of ID, vouched for. The next screen, we're filling in for the voucher. The voucher is pre-registered at this precinct. Enter the voucher's ID or name to find the voucher. Minimize the keyboard by pressing the keyboard in the bottom right corner. After you find the voter, you still have to manually enter the phone number. Enter a phone number for contacting the voucher. Minimize the keyboard, press sign. The voucher will sign the poll pad, followed by the election judge. Select next. Optional information if necessary, select next. Confirm the voter's information and initial. Submit. The voter has registered but not checked in for this election. The voter's receipt will print. Next, select accept to check the voter in for this election. Confirm the voter's information. Press submit. The voter is now checked in to vote, and the voter's receipts print. First, we'll select manual entry. Search for the first 3 letters of the voter's last name, followed by the first 3 letters of the voter's first name. Press search and select the voter file. We notice that the voter has moved, so we need to select registration. Ask the voter if they're a U.S. citizen and at least 18 on election day. Press next. The voter's name pulls over. We can update the birth date by selecting on birth date and scrolling on the wheel. Select next. To update the address, first press clear form to clear out the old address and start typing in the new address. Entire house number first. Start typing the street name. Select the street from the drop-down to complete the fill and allow the street to be auto-precinct. Select next. For identification type, we'll select voter does not have an MNID or a social. Select next. For residency type, we'll select other, and then we'll indicate that the voter had a valid registration in the same precinct. Select next. Confirm the new information. Election judge will initial and press submit. The voter is registered but not checked in. Press accept to check in the voter. Confirm the new information. Press submit. The voter is now checked in. The voter's receipts will print.